updates on the tragic shooting from yesterday that killed 5 people at the Capital Gazette in Maryland. New details that the assailant, Jarrod Ramos, used to be a federal employee with the Bureau of Labor Statistics, but was let go in 2014 for, quote, security sustainability concerns. And records show that he wasn't allowed to return to his building for security reasons. His motive has not yet been confirmed, and here we have some sketches of him in the courtroom. He was in court today, and his bond was denied, so he'll be detained until his court date. His motive has also not yet been confirmed, but it appears he had filed a defamation lawsuit against the paper for reporting on his harassment of a woman and subsequent criminal harassment charge in 2011, for which he was placed on 18 months of supervised probation. And in spite of the charge, police say that the weapon he used, a pump-action shotgun, was purchased legally. So, I mean, that's, again, we have to change the gun laws in this country. Some more small details on the shooting, including that Ramos barred the exit doors. And according to the county police chief, he, quote, was there to kill as many people as he could kill. Additionally, it was reported yesterday that he damaged his fingertips and did not carry ID to avoid identification. But police were able to identify him in a few hours based on facial recognition software, which, I mean, I hope it really hurt for him to burn his fingers and you know, try to do that, because it didn't work. Authorities are still investigating his background and the crime scene, and we'll update as more details come up.
As soon as I hear the facial recognition thing, I think, oh, that's good, and then I think,
yeah.
I guess they should have something like that. No, the one other thing I want to say really quick is that he had been harassing this female journalist. She reported to him, said that she thought he would become a mass shooter at some point, and then he legally buys a shotgun. So I just want you to bear that in mind in the future when you hear people say, oh, well, they were legally obtained guns, so we don't need any gun control. Yes, they are legally obtained after there is significant fears that you are going to murder a bunch of people. So
I mean, he literally
that's what's legal in this country.
He had a criminal charge. I mean, it seems like someone who's stalking and harassing a woman should not be able to buy a gun. That seems like a terrible idea, but here we are.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, in a country littered with terrible ideas, mainly from the right wing. So yesterday, I was obviously furious about the shooting, and I guess people want people to be calm about shootings. And no, I'm not going to be calm about it. And I partly blame Donald Trump. We were very clear in the video that at the time we didn't know the motives of the shooter, but that there were a couple of issues that Trump, I think, was responsible for. One is he has done nothing about the nonstop massacres in this country. Constantly talks about it. He alone can protect you. He was supposed to be the big tough guy that brought you security. Where is it? Where's the security? Nowhere. The massacres have not abated at all under Trump. Now, some people online are like, yeah, but I mean, look, but we're used to massacres in America. Other presidents had massacres too. That's right, and that's why we should stop it with the frickin' guns in every single person's hand. But you don't want to do that, and Trump doesn't want to do that. So Trump said he was going to be a tough guy. He was going to hold the NRA accountable. Did he? No, nothing. He did nothing. So you've got two choices. One, he is a coward and corrupt and serves the NRA because they pay him to, or he's totally incompetent and is never ever going to be able to keep you safe. Does it look like I'm apologizing? No, I am not. I won't back down 1%. Yes, Trump said he would keep people safe. No, he did not. And he does it because he gets paid by the NRA. So let me give you facts. NRA spending in the 2016 election cycle was $54 million. $54 million, almost all of it going to Republicans. The amount they spent directly on Trump was $30.3 million. Wow. Well, for that $30 million bribe, they get gun laws that say you can commit any massacre you like, and nobody's ever gonna do anything about it. We're not gonna ban the bump stocks, we're not gonna ban assault weapons, we're not gonna do federal background checks because Donald Trump is corrupt and has already been bribed, so he's not going to do anything. And finally, one more thing, Ben, one more stat. NRA spending in the past 15 years on bribing politicians. These are legal bribes, but they are bribes. Bill Moyers makes a great point. If you go up to a plate right before you're gonna swing, you go to the Empire, oh, here's a couple of $1,000s. No, he's an honorable gentleman. he won't. It's not a bribe. I'm just talking to him.
I just think he should continue to be an umpire.
Yes, and I like the way he's calling balls and strikes. So that's why I gave him the money, right? Yeah. No, that's a bribe. And when you give a politician a campaign donation or do independent expenditures, those are bribes. That's what they are. Everybody knows it. So how much did they do in the last 15 years? $132 million worth of legalized bribes from the NRA to scummy politicians like Donald Trump. And that's why the massacres continue, including this one.
So, you and I occasionally have arguments as strong, but we disagree about the nature of calling all of those donations bribes, although I would love to get money out of politics, as you would. Because I sometimes have a tough time believing that a politician would risk his political future because he got $9,500 from the telecommunications industry in a campaign where he raised $2 million, right? Now, you could argue that he would, but I think
but that's okay.
But I think it's too low a number that you could. It's certainly not provable. It wouldn't hold up in court, I don't think, right? $30.3 million is a tough sell that doesn't influence your policy.
Yeah, it definitely influences.
Also, I mean, just going by those numbers, okay, so you can take a look at that $132 million and say, oh my God, this is a lobby that spends a lot of money, although of course other industries spend far more, but focusing on the NRA, $132 million over 15 years, was it? It's a good number of presidential elections. 50 million of it, more than 1/3 of everything they've spent in 15 years was on this cycle, predominantly on Donald Trump. They really thought they could get something good out of him.
They did. They got nonstop massacres with nothing to check them. And remember, those are helpful to the NRA and to gun manufacturers, not just because, hey, people bought a gun and they used it, good for sales, but because it sends a panic across the country, which leads to further gun sales. Every massacre leads to a spike in gun sales. And you have to understand something. This is like, the people on TV sometimes drive me crazy. They're like, oh, it sounds like a bit of a conspiracy theory that they'd want to make a profit. Yeah, unfortunately, their line of business makes a profit from creating something that kills things. And those things include human beings. And the more human beings that are killed, the higher their profits. So we've created an incentive for massacres. And we've then told our politician, go ahead and take all their bribes and don't do anything about it. So don't get surprised. And is it the right wing's fault? Yes, absolutely, completely. And then let me be further clear about this. They say, oh, I criticized Donald Trump yesterday for attacking the media, and then the newspaper gets attacked and 5 people die. So this guy seems to have a previous beef with this particular newspaper, as Jules pointed out. Did he snap? Because now that had been going on for 7 years.
7 years, yeah.
Did he then hear Trump saying that the press is the enemy of the people, and that's what put him over the top? I don't know. I'll grant you that speculation. But am I saying that has nothing to do with it? Well, you have no evidence that has nothing to do with it, and it doesn't help when the president of the United States keeps telling people they are the enemy of the people. What do you do with the enemy? Especially if you have a gun, what do you do with the enemy? Okay, so yes, this is Trump's fault, and no, I will not back down, not even 1% from that statement.
And the only hesitation that I have in wading into this argument is that it gives ammunition, poor choice of words, to the people on the other side who are going to argue that we can never prove this point, right? We can never prove the cause and effect. I don't need to prove the cause and effect because the president of the United States should never, under any circumstances, call the press the enemy of the people. It was horrendous and a gargantuan failure and abdication of responsibility before anything happened. And of course, I'm sure there will be more, and we'll not be able to prove those either. But the idea that the president of the United States thinks it's okay, not just okay, is emboldened to do it, likes doing it, knows that it fires up his people when you call the press people who are interested in seeking out the truth. Some do it better than others, but that's the goal, that you call them the enemy of the people. That's what dictators do. That's what fascist right-wing administrations do, and right-wing governments have done, and communist left-wing governments have done for generations.
In addition to inciting this violence and saying that the press are the enemy of the people, Trump also spoke today about the shooting during a speech about his tax bill. We have a clip of that.
Journalists, like all Americans, should be free from the fear of being violently attacked while doing their job. My government will not rest until we have done everything in our power to reduce violent crime and to protect innocent life.
No, you have rested.
What do they do?
Yeah.
There was, how many massacres have there been? Parkland, Vegas, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on.
Southern Springs.
Okay, and so you seem like you're resting a lot. You've played a lot of golf since those massacres, and you've done nothing to address it. Nothing. So spare me your thoughts and prayers, and we're gonna work around the clock. No, you're gonna work around the clock getting more money from the NRA. You corrupt swamp creature, you thug. You know, you're going around calling people anyway people. Now you pretend you care about journalists. You don't care about journalists. This guy, when Maxie Waters said, hey, if you see people in restaurants, etc., call them out, right? And so they pretended that she said hit them, which she never said. Attack them, which she never said.
She never called for violence or anything approaching violence.
And Trump threatened her over it.
That's right.
Insane.
So then Trump tweets, watch out what you wish for, Max, okay? Now, could you imagine if Obama had said to a Republican politician, female Republican politician, watch out what you wish for, you just might get it, right? In reference to violence. Do you think that Fox News might have called him a thug? Do you think they might have called him a thug? And so this guy aids and abets violence nonstop. He did it during the campaign and all of his rallies. Throw him out, punch him in the face, assault him. I'll pay your legal bills. So spare me your thoughts and prayers. You're a monster. You aid and abet all of this. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.